Hey everybody, so we're going to try something a little bit new for the Workprint tonight. I don't think anyone has done it before for the site, but we're going to do a video review, which hopefully you can hear over the airplane, of Pitch Perfect 2, which I'm sorry to say for all of you awesome nerds, was not awesome. Not awesome.
Of course, we're writers of college fiction, and so we had a lot of thoughts about this movie. We had more thoughts than we had anticipation for the movie, which is probably a shame.
It's a shame. Yeah, we're going to kind of go through basic story structure and what we were expecting from a sequel for such a great movie and why it didn't deliver and probably why you're going to be disappointed when you go to the theater too. So
They might not be disappointed.
they might not. You might like it.
The major issue I think that we expanded on the most when we were taking notes was continuity of plot and character.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it seemed like it was out of left field, things we weren't expected, things that we weren't expecting when we went to see it, things that we couldn't explain.
It's never a good sign when you're sitting in a theater going, wait, what? Where did that come from?
There were a lot of character changes that weren't explained. So you expect character changes when a sequel picks up 3 years after the original movie. But those...
Which is 3 years. They didn't say that, like in the previews.
They didn't say 3 years?
No, it seemed like it was just like right after.
Did you think so?
Yeah. Like the next year.
Oh, well... So it was 3 years later. So Becca, our main character from the first movie, is now a senior and getting ready to leave the safe, happy bubble of college and collegiate a cappella and really grappling with that. But somehow Chloe is still there.
Chloe's still there.
The Barton Bellas have their own house, so they're more like a sorority than ever before. And there are lots of new members in the group.
None of whom were introduced to officially.
That's right. Should we tell them the good news about Jessie?
Yes.
Jessie and Becca are still together.
Jessie and Becca are still
They're
together.
really sweet, and they kiss, but it's
like literally we could kiss right now and it would be
hotter.
We
We maybe love each other more than Becca and Jessie do. Well, our main problem with the plot actually is that for every good plot, there needs to be stakes set out at the beginning of a movie. So if our heroes of the movie don't do X bad thing will happen to them. So that's called stakes. As writers, this is one of our super technical
which
fancy
we do
terms.
get.
We understand that the stakes were that that these characters needed to go to
Win worlds.
world a cappella finals
To get reinstated as national champs because Fat Amy shows her vagina to the president and his wife and a lot of other people.
So there needs to be a problem in every good story, or there needs to be something that the characters need to achieve,
right?
And stakes if they don't get there. But then there also need to be obstacles they have to beat along the way, right? It should be a pretty easy setup because in most standard a cappella plots, or college, high school competitive plots, football, mini golf, tennis. There's regionals, states, nationals, right? So every time we cross over a hurdle, we have a small victory, all leading up to a larger victory. Our characters in this movie, they already had an in to a cappella world finals. That's a lot of a cappella groups.
Right.
So they kind of were able to skate past all those obstacles, which ultimately, in my opinion, made the final climax of the movie
unsatisfying.
Very unsatisfying. There was a happy ending, but it wasn't happy enough.
No. I mean, like what she's saying is at the very beginning, they get disqualified or get their national titles stripped away, and the German team is going to take over their tour because of this incident with Fat Amy at Lincoln Center. Lincoln Center, right? Mm-hmm. But then they go and they confront Elizabeth Banks and the guy, I don't know his name, and they basically say, well, you can't stop us from going to Worlds. We already have an invitation. So now we have a whole movie to fill before they get to Worlds, and that's where things kind of start to go off at the plot.
You might say, Trisha and Leanne, couldn't we just assume that that all the obstacles would be personal and interpersonal obstacles? That would be a great question, and that's what should have filled the movie. But it was really very
random.
It was random. There were lots of loose strings, and characters changed drastically from the first movie to the second in ways that didn't make sense. And even though we used those characters to fill the time between the stakes and the final climax, which was ultimately unsatisfying. unsatisfying. It didn't make sense. It was hard to connect to and hard to follow.
So flat.
Very flat. In a lot of ways, we also found the writing. The two words we used to describe the writing in this movie was lazy and cheap.
The jokes weren't as clever as in the first movie. They weren't delivered as well.
They weren't clever at all.
They were cheap shots. They were cheap shots that were generally either jokes about women or race or gender, race, sexual orientation, but they weren't clever at all. Like, those things are funny, and that's, like, the material for, like, let's say, so, like, 90% of comedy, but they weren't funny.
You know how a lot of times we have to ask if, like, certain jokes are too soon? Like, jokes about Lincoln's assassination or jokes about the Holocaust. All of these jokes were obviously too soon. The main new character identity that was used for punchlines was an immigrant, possibly an illegal immigrant, to the United States. He made a lot of jokes about the actual serious mortal peril that she had endured and would face in entering and leaving the country, which we just found to be distinctly insensitive and unfunny.
They weren't fun. I mean, that was the main thing. Like, jokes can be insensitive if they're funny.
If you went to college, you can make a list very quickly, a long list very quickly of people that would have better filled that role.
Girls you knew.
Girls you knew, girls you still know, girls you maybe
wish you weren't friends with.
Yeah, girls you maybe need to give a baby gift to.
Send that gift.
Funnier than the illegal immigrant would have been the fitness and diet person.
Sorority girl.
The academically serious person.
The goth girl.
The drunk girl.
The loose partier.
The snob.
The fashionista.
The drama queen.
The prude.
The super religious girl.
Or the activist.
All those things we can poke fun at in a way that's not offensive, and that speaks as true to us, which I think
in the college experience.
Yeah. The strength of Pitch Perfect 1's humor was that it was subversive and unexpected, and the humor in this movie, Pitch Perfect 2, was neither subversive nor unexpected. It was out there. It was obvious. It was random. Honestly,
lazy. They're lazy jokes. They're cheap shots.
The one part of the movie that I'm giving a really solid high thumbs up ranking for B plus.
Oh, B plus.
B plus, A minus is the theme, which was really beautifully executed. Not really beautifully. It was satisfactorily executed for both Becca and the most well-developed new character, who is called The Legacy. Mm-hmm. What was her name? Jessie?
She's a freshman whose mom was also in the Bellas and was coming to school and wanting to be a Bella and ends up part of the group. And so she kind of has like anybody who knows college students or has college students mm-hmm. or has been a college student, like she has a very freshman arc where she's trying to find a place at the school, and she's trying to find her distance from her mother while still honoring her mother and that kind of thing. So that was all really good.
The freshman Legacy wants to find a place where she belongs. Becca needs to find a place where she can belong in the future, where she can go.
Because it's time to let go of the college.
The thing that made me so happy about that was that even though we have like a freshman and a senior who we think of as so, disparate, they needed each other to achieve those arcs.
Yeah, both of them.
Which was very cool. There's a moment in the movie, as horrible and lazy as the writing was, that I cried. I don't know if it was the wine or the bucket of rum.
Or the cup song.
It was the cup song, and I cried.
Yeah. I teared up. I heard you sniffling.
Listen.
We should probably talk a little about the music, because it's an acapella movie.
The music was great. They were doing the Cups rhythm, weren't they? Mm-hmm. But then they didn't sing Cups.
No. Fat Amy sang her romantic song. Fat Amy has a romantic arc.
Disappointing.
They spent a lot of time on it, and we would have rather seen more of Jessie and Becca, maybe half naked.
Super naked. Would you rather see Jessie or Becca naked?
Jessie. Becca's like a elf.
I'd rather see Becca from the waist up naked, Jessie from the waist down. Not in the same person. Benji has a romantic arc.
Benji gets a girlfriend.
That's so cute. I've listened to this song about 6 times. Just for the review.
I don't mind the song, but I wish it didn't take flashlight. The music is good. Like, I still think that people will download the soundtrack and listen to it, but it's not, in the end, the kind of movie that you're going to be quoting with your friends, like the first one, and laughing and thinking, I need to watch that again right now. We gave it a bunch of grades, but in the end, like, final grade.
C minus?
C minus. I agree. I mean, I might give it just a regular C. Average. I think
it depends on how much you care about
if we weren't expecting so much, it would have been a higher grade. But if for a sequel,
we have a lot of feelings about Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, we all do, right? It's like it was the Phenom 2 years ago, and we all wanted the sequel, and we've all been waiting for it, and it just doesn't. It doesn't. In the end, it just doesn't deliver.
If you went to college, if you're a girl, if you've ever sang in your shower, if you've ever wanted to hook up with somebody over stacks of records,
if you've ever been called fat by skinny bitches,
if you have a fat heart,
if you have a fat heart,
that movie meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
And the sequel didn't measure up.
They kind of took all of our expectations and our love for the first one and thought they would just coast on it, and they crashed and burned.
If you go see the movie, our recommendation is to precede it with 2 bottles of wine.
2.
For 2 people. If you're just by yourself, you can drink 1 bottle of wine.
Some Indian tortillas.
And then possibly a bucket of pineapple juice and rum.
Yep.
Don't say we didn't warn you.
That's all. To sum up, it was not a waste of time. Exactly.
It was only not a waste of time because I was with you.
Yeah. And afterwards,
you're my flashlight. The shock and disgust at seeing Fat Amy's vagina, I thought was uncalled for. Even fat vaginas can be beautiful.
I don't really want to see anyone's vagina on stage, though.
I mean, do you think that if it was Becca's vagina, people would have been screaming and hiding their eyes? And
no, but I do still think it would have been a news story.
But I think the lesson here may be that if there's a chance that your vagina will be seen,
wear some underwear. You know, your mom always told you if you're in a car accident, want to make sure that you're wearing underwear.
I tell my daughters to just always make sure they're groomed.
Or them.
It's hard for me because
it's hard for you.
The thing that's difficult for me, apparently in the Aka universe,
Aka, excuse me, Aka Splash Nation.
In the